I've got updates on Foden, Aït-Nouri and Gusto. With him playing the last couple of games, could Ortega now be the first choice Man City goalkeeper? And with FPL managers looking to free hit in game week 34 and possibly wildcard in 35, it leaves room for some 1 week punts in game week 33. I'm going to talk through my best options. Here are my thoughts going into game week 33. So Phil Foden was unfortunately subbed off against Real Madrid with what looked like an injury. We had a post-match press conference from Pep Guardiola who said it was just a knock, and Phil was a little bit upset that he got subbed as a result. Is it a knock? Is it a more serious injury? He certainly looked like he was in some pain when he got subbed off. My source for this kind of thing, without any real info, is FPL Physio on Twitter. I believe FPL Physio is a qualified physiotherapist at an actual football club, but kind of keeps their identity secret. He said that the injury doesn't look good, but based on what he's seen or they've seen, they're confident that it is just a knock. However, with them playing Luton in game week 33, that seems like the ideal opportunity to rest them. Obviously, they'll be playing Real Madrid next week in the Champions League. They're drawing in the tie, so we'll need to win the game at the Etihad to get through. I mean, what perfect way than to rest Phil Foden against Luton in 33, then to play him against Real Madrid in the Champions League. They've got plenty of players that can fill in for his position. I think that's the most likely scenario. I think Phil Foden will probably be match fit to play in 33, but we probably won't see him feature given, they've got Real Madrid again in their the second leg next week, and Luton in 33 is a really good game to be able to rest him in. So my thoughts, he doesn't play game week 33, plays Champions League, Real Madrid in midweek, and then potentially is back fit for game week 34. All right, another player that caused some worry during game week 32 was Malo Gusto. Now, a lot of managers now have him in their FPL teams, given his price, Chelsea having a decent fixture run, and potentially 2 double game weeks coming up. So knowing what's up with Gusto is quite important. And I've got some good news on that front. Pochettino said that Malo Gusto just needed a rest. He was ill before he played the 2 matches in game week 31 and 32. Obviously, they were in quick succession. And he said basically that he needed to rest. So I think that bodes well for game week 33. I think Malo Gusto will probably be straight back in that Chelsea team. And with double game week 35 being announced and potentially doubling in 37, he's a great option for your team. So I definitely think he's going to play game week 33, and I wouldn't sell him. Okay, so Aït-Nouri, who has been absolutely fantastic recently, obviously classed as the defender in FPL, but basically playing as a left winger or number 10 for Wolves recently, and to be honest, being their best attacking option. Unfortunately, he got subbed off in game week 32 with what appeared to be a calf injury. Gary O'Neill, the Wolves manager, said he had a sore calf, felt some pain in his calf, and they wanted to take him off before it got any worse, and he's hoping that he'll be okay for next week, game week 33. Again, my source for this kind of thing is FPL Physio, using what he has to say. So if it's a knock, he'll certainly be back to play in game week 33 is what Physio thinks. But a sore calf could also mean, he's got a minor strain. If it was severe, he probably wouldn't be able to walk. So, I think he was pretty much easily able to walk off of the pitch. So that suggests it's not particularly severe. Worst case is that it's a minor strain, which is usually assessed, like he says, on a day-to-day basis. Could keep him out for anything from a few days to a couple of weeks. FPL Physio's view is that he expects him to play in game week 33. In my view, I don't know. I think he'll either miss game week 33 and be back for 34, when obviously he's got a double game week, or he'll just miss game week, or he'll be back, for game week 33. In my view, as long as you've got someone to cover for him on the bench, I wouldn't really worry. I'd put him in your team and start him, and if he doesn't play, I don't think he gets any minutes at all, and your bench option will come in place of him. I definitely wouldn't sell him. I absolutely don't think it's worth selling him if you currently own him, given he's got a double in game week 34 and just has so much potential attacking upside. And if I wanted to buy him, to be honest, with the injury risk around him, I'd probably wait another week. We'll probably get some positive news before the game week 33 deadline anyway. I think Gary O'Neill will mention something in his press conference. He seems to be a fairly open manager around this kind of thing. If he's confirmed to be out, then, like I said, I wouldn't sell him, and I certainly wouldn't buy him. And with a view, I think, to buy him in game week 34 if I still wanted him, You could probably miss him for 1 week in 33 when he's just got a single, even if he is fit and you've got a bit of doubt around him. But 34 is the time when you want to buy him. All right, the next player I wanted to talk about then is Stefan Ortega Moreno of Man City. Now, I'm probably getting a little bit carried away with this one, but he started the last couple of games for Man City while Ederson has been fit. Ederson's just been on the bench. Now, Ortega is traditionally, I think he's reserved for the domestic cups, so the likes of the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup. But he's played so far against, obviously, Crystal Palace in the Premier League in 32, and then in the really big game against Real Madrid in the Champions League. So, you know, that definitely raises some doubts for me as to whether Ederson is actually the first choice Man City goalkeeper at the moment. I'd certainly ask the question, having watched both of them, even live to be honest. I saw both of them in the FA Cup against Bristol City last season. Ortega played the first half and then Ederson came on for the second half. I would actually say Ortega is a better shot stopper than Ederson. Ederson probably slightly better with his feet, although proven against Crystal Palace that Ortega's not too bad with the ball at his feet either. I just think Ortega could genuinely be a better keeper than Ederson. And if you look, you know, we're looking at a Man City goalkeeper here that could potentially be nailed on to start at 3.8 million. And of course has a double game week before the end of the season. Now, we all know that Man City are not amazing defensively, but you've got to think they're going to keep some clean sheets before the end of the season. And given that, well, he's potentially the cheapest starting goalkeeper in the game, he's definitely a player that I think we all need to be keeping our eyes on. Now, I definitely say I wouldn't be rushing to buy him just yet. I think the couple of games could be a case of Ederson not quite being fit to play 90 minutes and play a full game, but he's been on the bench as a bit of a precaution. What I would say is if the Ortega is back in the team for 33 and still starts for Man City against Luton, which could well happen, I suggest that he's almost nailed on to start. And in fact, we've actually got a couple more games where we could wait to make a decision on him before game week 34. So think about it. They've got Luton in 33 and then a game against Real Madrid in the Champions League. I suggest that if Ortega plays both of those games, we can consider him to be the new first choice Man City goalkeeper. I genuinely think it's a point for debate and contention. But yeah, I probably wouldn't bring him in for 33 straight away. I'd probably think that's a little bit too risky. But like I said, if he plays the next couple of games, I mean, what can you say? I mean, you've got to consider him the first choice keeper, right? I just thought it was an interesting point. You know, we've potentially got a nailed on to start Man City goalkeeper at 3.8 million. And finally then, I just wanted to talk about some potential 1 week punts that you could go for. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk through each of the fixtures to maybe suggest who could be a good player. And yeah, we've got the draft time expected points on the right hand side as well. So if you're not owning any of the players on the right hand side at the moment, they could potentially be guys you pick up as a 1 week punt. So looking through the fixtures, right, and the reason I'm talking about this, of course, is if you're free hitting in 34 and wild carding in game week 35, you've kind of got a free hit with your transfers for 33, providing you don't need to sell players for injuries, etc. Kind of got a free hit on who you bring in. So going through the fixtures, Newcastle and Spurs, I'm not too sure there's a 1 week punt in there. I think most people will probably have Isaac, Gordon or Son, who I would suggest are the top assets playing in that game. If we get a leak on the Spurs 11 before the game week starts and we get some news that potentially Richarlison's playing up front, I think with Newcastle being so debilitated like defensively with their injuries, he could be a nice option. Brentford have Sheffield United. I definitely think Brian Mbeumo is a good option. We saw Tony being benched in game week 32. So I'd ask the question actually, will Tony start in 33? But given how well he played and scored a goal in 32, and Mbeumo I think is going to be nailed on to start for Brentford. And with Sheffield United as their fixture, I don't mind that as a 1 week punt. Not massive on Burnley and Brighton assets, I must say. Maybe João Pedro, but I don't think there's anyone pretty good looking from those teams that you want in your team. Man City, Luton. I see on the right hand side, Kevin De Bruyne is up there for expected points. Given he missed the Real Madrid game with what sounded like an illness, he could well start the Luton game. I wouldn't expect him to play the full 90, but you know, if you want to make a 1 week punt on Kevin De Bruyne, Luton is a decent time to do it, right? Nottingham Forest and Wolves, potentially, but I'm just not sure I'm massive on that game. I think that will be a relatively low scoring fixture. Bournemouth and Man United. I mean, Man United looks so open defensively, and I think Bournemouth could well score in that game. Solanke is the top Bournemouth asset in my view, but I say most managers have him or will already be eyeing him up, given he's got a double in 34 and just plays every game, 90 minutes, penalties, that kind of thing. I do think potentially Semenyo could be an option for that one. He's not absolutely nailed on, but I do think he will give that Man United defence some problems. So I don't mind Semenyo there if you're fancying that. 4.5 million forward. Liverpool have got Crystal Palace. Now, I don't think there are many Liverpool one-week punts. We kind of all know the top Liverpool assets. You know, Darwin Núñez, Salah and their defence. Question marks, I guess, as to whether Bradley will start this one. For me, I don't know. I mean, I don't really need to describe one-week punts for Liverpool. I think most of their best players are kind of already known. And then as for Palace, not sure you can really pick a Palace player that's going to Anfield. I mean, maybe Eze and Elise if you fancy it, but the fixture is really tough for them. West Ham and Fulham, obviously Muniz is a decent one-week punt week on week, as is Kudus. Although I don't think that's necessarily the fixture to pick from. I do have a feeling that's going to be a relatively low-scoring game. Arsenal against Villa, again, I think most people already have triple Arsenal. And then Aston Villa players, I mean, maybe Watkins is a one-week punt, but Arsenal is so solid defensively. I don't think you'd want to buy Watkins ahead of that game. Then we got Chelsea and Everton. I actually don't mind potentially picking Nicholas Jackson here or Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who was definitely well overdue a goal in Game Week 32. Got it. And I've just got a feeling he goes on a bit of a goal-scoring run now. In Chelsea, we all know how terrible they can be on their bad days. That could potentially be one on Monday, so I don't mind Calvert-Lewin in that one. So, my top one-week punts, I'd say maybe a Spurs player like Richarlison if he's due to start against Newcastle. Brentford players, obviously Tony's a good option, but I doubt his ability to start given he missed Game Week 32. I really like Mbeumo, potentially Semenyo against Man United, and then got a feeling about DCL, Dominic Calvert-Lewin against Chelsea. Alright, and that's the end of the video. A quick flash through there, just summarising my thoughts ahead of the next game week 33. If you enjoyed it and found it useful, please leave me a like rating. Let me know in the comments what you think of some of those one-week punts, and if you own any of the players that are a bit of an injury doubt, and what your plan is around them. Like I said, if you enjoyed the video, please leave me a like rating. You can subscribe to the Golden Goal channel if you want to see more content from me. Just click there. And I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching.